So, hi everybody and welcome back to the Unreal Engine 5 tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 93 and in this video we are talking how we can shot our projectile with this weapon. What I mean with that is we created this weapon now on our own, but the problem is when I press here my left mouse button, it's not shotting because we have not set it up. And now we are going to do this. To do that, we go to the content drawer, open up first our first person character here. I double click on it, and here what you can see here are all the inputs for our first person character. All what you can see here are actually inputs, different kind of inputs. We have here input for a mouse, a gamepad, and so on, but we are concentrating here only for this one here, for actually only this line here, which says primary action input, and only these two nodes. So first of all, where you find this input action, primary action, and all time when you hear input, go to edit, project settings, and then in project settings here, I docked this here on top. Then you go here on the left side down where it says input. And then here you have these two lines. Of course, there are many other options as well, but these two lines here are important: action mapping and axis mapping. And here in our case, it says primary action. And this name is actually this node here when I delete it. And if I'm going to call it, I just write here exactly this name here. It says primary action. And if I write here primary reaction, and now I have this node back. So all that what you can write here on your own, we will do this probably later to set up our full character, but not in future. Then you can call this all these names here. So now we know how to get this input, and very important is this primary action is connected to my left mouse button. So this is my shot button. And it is also connected to the gamepad right trigger. You can see it here. Let's continue. Now, what we do is when we click this node here, which means I click my left mouse button, which is my shot button, I am calling an dispatcher. And you can see here, it says here call and use, and you see here this envelope sign, and it means you are calling a dispatcher in this case. A dispatcher, you can see here on the left side, when you go down, it says event dispatchers. And here is already one created. It says on use item, and this one is calling this event dispatcher and call on use item. You have to read this on documentations or watch other videos what an event dispatcher is in detail. But we are just recreating here this event dispatcher, and just short info event. An event dispatcher is similar like a function, which means you create a function, you call a function, and the function is executing a code. And an event dispatcher is doing this same thing but has more options, which is a little bit more powerful, I would say, but costs a little bit more. Anyway, let's go and create our own event dispatcher and call our own thing. So how we are doing this: the first person character needs an event dispatcher for our. So we go here on the left side, we go down to event dispatcher, we click this plus sign, and we create our own event dispatcher. I called it event dispatcher underscore projectile, and I call it so long so we can find it later very easy. When I double click on this event dispatcher now, you see it is empty and it looks like a function, and actually we can't do anything here, right? It's just here. So it's just an empty thing here at this point. Now we go back to our event graph. I click here on top and I'm back to our event graph. And now I want also call this created event dispatcher here. And I want call it when I click my left mouse button because we can't shot, and my goal is to shot. So what I do is I click on my created event dispatcher now, and I drag and drop it here, and you can see I have here options. I can call it, bind it, unbind it, unbind on event and assign. In this case, we want call it, because call means we want, yes, we want call and trigger like I said, it's similar like a function trigger a code. That's it. So don't think too complicated about this one. Just think you call it and it's executing a code, and that's it. Here I click my left mouse button and it will call this event dispatcher, and the event dispatcher executes a code. That's it. The problem here is, and that's, let's show this as well. When we have this event dispatcher here, where are the other parts? For example, this event dispatcher, what was created. Okay, this one is calling, but what is it calling? So that's a little bit difficult, right? So when I double click on this call, it is not jumping to the call place. For example, a function would perhaps jump to the call place, and I know it very fast. In this case, it is not. And we have to use now another trick, which you know probably, and it is just called find references. And how we find all the references, there are different ways, but here's one way. You click on this event dispatcher, and careful, when you click here, it will find only the references for the call on use item, and when you click here, it will find for this event dispatcher. So they are not the same thing. This one is the whole thing, this one is just a call node. So I clicked on the event dispatcher, then right click, and then here we have this place where it says find references. We click on it, and now this one, it says there is nothing. And why it says nothing? Because this one is the one which we created and there are no references. So that's interesting. Let's click the other one, which they created, which they created, and they created on use item. I right click on it and find references, and you see, they find here some references. When I click on this one, it jumps to the place. Okay, this is the call. That is the call. So why they found not my call? That's very strange. Let me check this one. The thing why it's not finding my reference was because I have not compiled it. Of course, we compile, save, and now it will find my reference too. So right click, find reference. Still not. That's interesting. Call of event. Sure. Think that's strange. This reference fever should find this one. Call event dispatcher. Okay, I'm not sure why this one is not finding it. But normally here it's finding. Now it's finding anyhow. And when I click on this one, it's not connected anyhow. Anyhow, we continue now. It's a little bit strange. Okay, let's see what we do next. So here, I right click the other one again, find references, and okay, but this one helps not us, because these are just the call places, and I wanted to find all the places, and then you have go here on the top line, right to this binoculars, and then click on this one, which means find in all blueprints. The tooltip says it, and when you click now this one, and here, now you will have results where all this event dispatcher is used, and now these two ones are the places where it was used in our first place, but here this one is the place where it's used. And when I double click on it, and you can see it is used in our rifle. So in the rifle, and exactly where we stopped with our coding, we did the first part, and here they created this event dispatcher binding, which we will do as well. And then when we create this one, we can shot. Let's do this. Let's go do this. So we found this one. We finished our setting with our click. That's all fine. And we don't need this one. And we have our call. And now we need to create this binding. Actually, this one is the original file, but we created our own rifle. Let's go to our own rifle fast. In my case, it's collectible item. And yes, I stopped exactly here. You can see that is the place where we stopped. And now we have just to add this little code here, what they did. And of course, explaining what they did. First of all, they created event binding and event dispatcher binding, but to bind it, we need first a reference to our first person character, because we want to use this event dispatcher here on the left side, right here on this. So we need a reference, and thanks God we have already one, because it was already created in the first place with this overlapping actor. So, and we have promoted this one to a variable, yes, and I can use this. So on the left side I go to my variable, because I can get this one now, and I have now full access to my first person character here, and I have of course access to my event dispatcher as well. That's good. So the next step is, now with this one we drag out and write bind, and we want bind this to our created event dispatcher. And in my case, you see we can bind here many things, and now you must remember the name, of course. Bind event dispatcher. Okay, let's see if I find this. Bind event dispatcher. Yes, here, bind event to event dispatcher shot projectile. This is exactly that what I created, and you can see here, yeah, that's it. So I'm binding to this, and now we can connect this, and now we have the target, and you can see here, what is this doing? What is this binding actually? So let me explain this fast. It is an error because I have to also select here an event, but this in a moment. Let's make this so fast. So actually, let's go back a little bit here to the rifle, to my first person character. So when I click my left mouse button, it will call this event dispatcher. This event dispatcher will jump to my rifle, which I created. This is my one, and it will actually not start here at the start, and that's interesting. Normally we learned all the time it will go to the start point, and then it executes this, and then it comes here. That's not the case with this event dispatcher, and that's interesting and a little bit strange. It will jump exactly to this point here, right? And then it will execute this one at this point here. So that's very interesting and sometimes very confusing, but a little bit later more. Just keep this in mind. It will jump directly to this place. So let's continue. We have now to bind an event, because like I said before, event dispatcher is just a function call, which means I click on this one. It calls here, it's a function call, and then it will execute a code. In this case, it will execute an event. An event is similar to function, a little bit more powerful, because we can use timers too. That's why events are a little bit, and custom events are a little bit more powerful. So what they did here is they created here another node, a special node. You can see, let's do this one also, create event, and they have described it here also to make it more readable. All right, so you don't have to create it this way like they did. You could create it directly here down, but they have your options to select, which is also not bad. So let's make it their way, and then we see if we understand it. So we want here create event. Okay, I have created the same node, and now let's see what drop-down options I have. So this drop-down option says you can create a matching function, you can create a matching event, and I said event is a little bit more powerful in general because you can use timers, and in function you can't use timers. That's the biggest disadvantage of functions, but okay. And in my case, I want just create a new event, because we need code which is firing when this one is called, right? So let's do this. I say create matching event, and let's call this short event. Let's short short projectile. Short projectile. All right, now I have a custom event with a short projectile. This custom event I bring here, so which means this one will belong together. And the next thing what I have to do now is here I have to select this created short projectile. So I have to compile first, because now I can't see it because it's not compiled. Let's compile, save, and now we have access to this one. And I see it not. Well, no, here is it. I see it. Okay, now I selected short projectile. This one, if this one is called from our call place, then this one calls this one here down. That's the meaning of this one. So you see it's many call steps. Our first step calls this one calls this one calls our short projectile, which is this one, and now we have to execute this code. And yeah, with that I think I stop here, because this is another part we can do in the next video. But one more thing about event dispatcher. Why we use an event dispatcher and not a function? And that one you have to read a little bit more in detail in documentation. But the reason why they use most time event dispatcher is, first of all, function, like I said, as one disadvantage, you can't use timers. But this is more a custom event and a function problem. So the question is, why event dispatcher? Event dispatcher has one big use case, which is you can fire with one event dispatcher multiple let's say multiple objects, which means, for example, you have 5 AI characters, and with one event dispatcher, for example, I shot one, I can trigger on this AI an code, which, so I write this code one time and then I trigger all time a different code for each AI. But I have only one call, let's say this way. It's a little bit strange to explain, but the idea is you call one time and you can execute it in many different places with different codes, and it's just one call. So think about this. So this one you have to read to understand this one a little bit more in detail, this theory. But the practical use, here we did this one and we will continue, and this what comes now is just the spawning the projectile, which we more or less did in the turret tutorial, turret video. And we will do this one here with this weapon. And yeah, I stop here. If you have any questions or any complaints, write it in the comments, and see you in the next video. Bye.